Libra, welcome to a special reading for the summer solstice, or winter solstice if you're down under. It's Raina, and I got this spread from tarotassociation.net, and it's called a summer solstice spread to connect to your higher self. And I've decided to condense the reading because it's 9 cards and it takes a long time. So I've condensed it to 5 cards. And I have a mixture of oracle cards, and I even have a tarot card in here, and I'll tell you which deck that I'm taking the cards from. The first position is called Bright Core, and this is the card of your present burning. So this is your passion right now. And the card that I got was the Sorcerer, and this card is from the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. I'll show you. I think that's what the cover looks like too. This is from the booklet. And Hay House sent it to me. And so I'm giving them a shout out. God, I sounded like Canadian. I sound out. I think I've been listening to too many Canadians lately. Okay, so let's see. This was an interesting, because like I said, I'm starting over again, and it's about representing the destructive part of the human psyche. So it's the self-centered behavior that harms others. So it's a shadow. You're being called to look at how your beliefs around scarcity and self-centered fear manifest in your world. And so this is about facing your shadow, and how you do that depends on what works for you. Some people are, swear by psychotherapy. Some like shamanism, what this deck is about, which is kind of like a Native American, I don't know if somebody would object to this comparison, but to me, it's like paganism for North America. Because I might be kind of ignorant about this, but I'm assuming that paganism is from the from England, and well, Druids. I don't know. I'm not a pagan, so I'm only assuming that it's from those countries, the British Isles. And anyway, there are different ways that people kind of examine their shadow, but that might be something that some of you are becoming passionate about in your life. Definitely looking at every time that you feel like trying to smooth things over when really you don't want to. When, owning your anger in a positive way, not in a destructive way, but not feeling like guilty if you get angry, or that you don't want to do something, that you want to say no about something. And even the parts of yourself, like they say, the self-centered parts, and being able to look at those. And so about, talking about it being passionate, you might be passionate about it because you realize it's the key to your salvation in a sense. That perhaps you have allowed yourself to be too people-pleasing, or whatever you want to call it, and that has actually led to disharmony. Because the whole idea of being people-pleasing is in order to, smooth over ruffled feathers. But the irony is that it tends to cause more problems, because the other person will never be happy, no matter how many times you cater to them. And they may even get more and more outrageous in their demands. So that's one of the reasons why you have to nip that kind of thing in the bud. And, well, that's my opinion anyway. So I think that some of you are realizing that, and you're working on yourself. You're like integrating your shadow and owning it, and it's exciting for you. It's like a process of reawakening. And so the second position is Radiance. How you can best express yourself. how you can communicate, and it's the witness. And what this means is that rather than looking at a situation and giving your 2 cents, like verbally, giving your opinion on something. And as a Libra, you're an air sign. So communication comes easily to air signs, and they tend to be very good at it. They tend to be more articulate than other signs, and they have a way with words. Other people are impressed by their ability to communicate. And so your first impulse may be to express an opinion or want to discuss something. And rather than that, sometimes the best way you can communicate is by simply being present. There's a book called The Presence Process. And the idea of your essence, just sitting within yourself when you're in a situation. It could even be like a situation of conflict. And instead of trying to jump in and saying, okay, you guys, stop fighting, but just sitting there and really watching the process and not needing to try to control the situation. So if you have kids who are arguing, for instance, I'm not talking about serious fighting, but I mean, if it's just a difference of opinion that has led to a shouting match or something like that. It could be kids, it could be your friends, other family members, and just sitting there and not, trying to get them to stop it because it makes you uncomfortable. You may end up communicating the most valuable information to them because you're not reacting. Sometimes communication is a reaction. Okay, so that's very interesting. Then we have the third position, which is Ancient Light, and this is talking about what to leave behind in shadow. And I laughed when I picked this card because it's the Lover's card. This is from my Morgan Greer deck. The 2 up there are from the, as I said, the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. But the Lover's card is perfect for Libra because you rule the 7th house, which deals with committed partnership. So what to leave behind? Leave behind committed partnership? Well, not exactly. But maybe you're the type of person who feels like you're not really a worthy person unless you're in a relationship. And so a Libra person will tend to leave, I think, a relationship that they are not happy in. I don't see Libra people suffering forever in an unhappy marriage, for instance, because you're a cardinal sign and you can and do take action when it comes to these matters. Even if you feel like you don't want to hurt somebody, you're not the kind to just sit there and just go through the motions forever. Although some Librans have a hard time making up their mind about it to begin with. But once you do, I think you're capable of taking that sort of action. However, it's a question more of, do you jump into a new relationship right away? Do you feel like you're somehow not quite right unless you're involved in a relationship? And that's what I think you need to look at, because that can lead to jumping from one romantic relationship to the other and not really stopping and realizing what you have dealt with in that past relationship and processing it and learning how to improve from that situation. So being like overly dependent on relationships to define you could be what this card represents. It also represents choice. So the infamous, indecisiveness that is associated with Libra. And from what I have read, this is due to a lack of faith in your own ability to discern properly, which is ridiculous because you're a sign that is associated with the legal profession, even judges. So you have the ability to see things from many different perspectives. And if you would have more confidence in yourself, you would make wonderful choices. Also, maybe, I think that's probably the number one reason, though, is because you can see things from so many perspectives, you don't know which one is appropriate for yourself. And that comes from really getting in touch with your feelings. And for air signs, that in itself is something that they have to be very deliberate about, because you tend to focus on the intellectual goings on in your mind, you know, in your head, rather than the heart chakra, what you really want emotionally. Okay, so the next position is glory, what your higher self wants you to remember most today, Serapis Bey, and it says move into your, well, ascension, move into your true self. Let me see, I want to get his whole hat or headpiece in the frame. Move into your true self, rise above the darkness, the light is here. Cool. That's awesome. Okay. And I'm going to read from the book on that one. This is from the Oracle, Keepers of the Light Oracle deck. So as I said, this is a card associated with Ascension. Serapis Bey is the light keeper in charge of Ascension. He once served as a priest in Luxor, Egypt, helping those passing on to cross over into the light. Now he is a presence we can call on in order to ascend. Ascension means rising up. It reminds us of the story of Christ being resurrected after death. This means that Serapis Bey can guide us from the lowest states of being back to the light. His energy is almost like that of a phoenix, giving us the support to move out of our own hell or darkness into a space that supports our growth. The stars cannot shine without darkness. You may have experienced a low state of being, trauma, or depression, but this is a new beginning. So going back to that card of the sorcerer, or the shadow, or that darkness, and being okay with it, and seeing seeing how important it was for you at this time. I think sometimes people say, why is this happening to me? And that, to me, is not the correct question. The correct question is, what can what is the blessing in this experience? Become aware of growth. There's always room for improvement. There's also a sense of presentation now. You may be receiving documentation or certification to acknowledge your growth or experience. It's important to cherish this time and to realize that without the challenges or obstacles you have faced, you wouldn't be as strong, powerful, or focused as you are today. You are ascending personally and spiritually at this time, and the universe is here to support it. Okay, well, I can't really add on that, so I'm just going to mention the last card, and it is Healer of the Ages, and this is the outcome. And, wow, I'm so used to doing tarot readings. Actually, it's called Spark, what your higher self wants you to do more of in the future. Interesting, Healer. And this is from the Energy Oracle card stack. So let's see what that says. So this is kind of like future. It says health and vitality. This powerful being brings the force of ancient wisdom and profound healing. The light of divine consciousness pours from his hands and heart, flowing to you with love and a powerful healing intention. This amazing entity is with you now, bringing resolution to physical, mental, and emotional ills, helping to unblock stuck energy and revitalize your life force. You may have felt this strong presence recently, or you may just be opening to the wonderful sensations now. You can call upon this emissary of miraculous transformation whenever you need vitality, balance, or renewal. Know that at the deepest level, an important healing is taking place. So there is a theme of healing and kind of going deep within and ferreting out that which is still in darkness. And for some of you, this can even be on the physical level, but Though, you know, I should have said, I believe the Lover's card is connected to healing too. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it is number 6. It's funny. Number 6 and 5 and 1 equals 6. And 6 is the 6th house. It's connected to Venus, your ruling planet, but also in the 6th house, the number 6 is about health, or that's one of the areas. So healing matters. And what else can I say? Not much. This is like looking at you right now. So this is a great time for you, Libra, to work more on allowing, it's really not work, because it's really allowing healing to take place. And so it's like letting go of that resistance and anything that would lead you to kind of fight against it or try to control the way things are happening, the you know, the time frame. I think that's another thing when people are expecting too much too soon. The more you can get into this acceptance of things working on divine time, I think the better. And I wish you all the best for the solstice. Take care. Bye.